Imagine waking up in a world where every single moment of your day is built around one thing: pleasure. A life where everything is designed to entertain you, satisfy you, and distract you from discomfort. Constant gratification, infinite content, quick hits of joy on demand. Sounds pretty good, right? But here's the real question. What's the price of that kind of life? Could it be that the more we chase happiness, the more we risk becoming enslaved by it? That what feels like freedom, doing what we want, when we want, is actually something much darker? In this video, we're going to unpack a hard truth. We'll explore how the pursuit of pleasure, something we all crave, can slowly strip away our freedom and even our humanity. Drawing from the warnings of Aldous Huxley and insights from modern psychology, we're going to explore the hidden traps of our desire for comfort, ease, and gratification. And by the end, I want to leave you with one powerful insight, one perspective that could change the way you see your life forever. So, let's dive in. In his famous novel, Brave New World, Aldous Huxley imagined a future where people didn't need to be forced into submission. There were no chains, no dictators, no wars for power. Instead, the people were pacified with something much more seductive: pleasure. In Huxley's world, people took a drug called soma. It made them happy, all the time. No matter how dull or meaningless their lives were, they never had to feel pain, never had to feel discomfort. And because they were always content, no one ever resisted. They didn't even want to. This, Huxley warned, was the most dangerous kind of control. The kind that doesn't feel like control at all. Now take a moment to look at our world today. We might not have soma, but what about notifications, social media, non-stop entertainment at our fingertips? Aren't we being offered our own version of soma, just packaged in sleek apps and glowing screens? Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, best known for his work on flow, once highlighted how technology can help us engage more deeply with life. But he also warned that it can trap us in addictive cycles, always reaching for the next like, the next scroll, the next quick hit of novelty. The problem: these platforms are designed to keep us hooked. They feed us exactly what we want: tailored pleasures, algorithmic dopamine, and they do it endlessly.
But when it's all over, what's left? Emptiness. A sense of being drained, not fulfilled. Just ask yourself this. How often do you grab your phone just to check something quickly and suddenly an hour's gone? You didn't plan it. It just happened. And after all that time, do you feel any better? There's a name for this phenomenon. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. Here's how it works. No matter how much happiness you experience, a new car, a great meal, an exciting trip, your brain eventually adjusts. That high becomes the new normal. And soon enough, you're chasing the next thing, and then the next. It's a never-ending cycle. You never quite arrive. You're always reaching, always chasing something just out of reach. It's exactly what Huxley predicted. We become prisoners of our own desires, not because someone's forcing us, but because we can't stop ourselves. And this isn't just a theory. It's backed by data. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Affective Disorders found a clear link between excessive screen time, especially on social media, and rising levels of anxiety and depression. The more time people spent immersed in these digital pleasures, the worse they felt. And here's the twisted part. When we feel low, what do we turn to? Those same apps, those same distractions. It's a self-feeding cycle. The very thing that's making us feel miserable is also what we turn to for comfort. It's a trap, A beautifully designed, perfectly addictive trap. Now let's zoom out a little. What's the cost of all this? It's not just time, it's not just mental energy, it's your life. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and author of Man's Search for Meaning, argued that true fulfillment doesn't come from chasing happiness. It comes from purpose, from living for something beyond yourself. Frankl noticed something powerful. People who lacked meaning in their lives were the most likely to get lost in distraction, to run from reality instead of facing it. And maybe that's the real question we should all be asking. Are you living with purpose, or have you been slowly seduced into letting pleasure dictate your choices? Because it doesn't always feel dramatic. It happens in tiny decisions, every day. Should I binge one more episode, or go out and connect with someone I care about? Should I scroll through one more feed, or work on something I've always wanted to build? These choices might seem small, but over time, they shape your life.
As Huxley once wrote, most human beings have an almost infinite capacity for taking things for granted. And in our pursuit of comfort, we often take for granted the things that really matter. Real relationships, creativity, self-discovery, the chance to contribute something meaningful. Here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Pleasure, when it's not kept in check, doesn't free us. It enslaves us. Not with chains, but with habits, with cravings, with distractions that steal our time, drain our energy, and dull our potential. And this isn't accidental. There are systems, industries, built to profit from our attention. Our addiction to pleasure is someone else's revenue stream. So before we go any further, I want to ask you one thing. Are you living as a free human being? Or are you just another consumer in a world built to profit off your desires? Let that question sit with you, because what comes next, it's going to challenge the way you see not just the world around you, but yourself.
Now let's take a closer look at the world we live in, not just as people trying to be happy, but as products in a global system that trades in something more valuable than money or gold: our attention. Welcome to the attention economy, a marketplace where companies compete not for your money directly, but for your focus. Every second you spend watching, scrolling, or tapping is a second they can monetize. And here's the twist. In this world, you are the commodity. It's not just about distraction. It's about design. Platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, they're not neutral tools. They're built to keep you engaged for as long as possible. Why? Because the longer you stay, the more ads you see. The more ads you see, the more money they make. To understand how deep this goes, we have to talk about your brain. Dr. Robert Sapolsky, a neuroscientist known for his work on stress and dopamine, uncovered something fascinating. Dopamine, the chemical most associated with pleasure, doesn't just spike when we get a reward. It spikes when we anticipate one. Let that sink in. It's not the reward that gets us hooked. It's the possibility of a reward. That's why slot machines are so addictive, and it's the exact same mechanism behind social media. You don't know what's going to show up next. Will it be a funny video, a new like, a message? That uncertainty keeps you coming back again and again. Tristan Harris, a former design ethicist at Google, calls this intermittent variable rewards. And it's not just a cool feature, it's a psychological trap, a trick lifted straight out of Vegas. And guess what? It works. That's why you check your phone without thinking. That's why you feel a strange anxiety when you haven't refreshed your feed. These aren't accidents, they're outcomes, deliberately engineered to own your attention.
But what does this mean for your life? Well, think about how this manifests every day. How often do you find yourself reaching for your phone without even meaning to, eating something you didn't even really want, watching just one more video, even though you're tired. These aren't just little habits. They're signs of a deeper issue. You're being trained, slowly, subtly, rewired to crave stimulation over stillness, distraction over depth. And while that may not sound scary in the moment, the long-term consequences are huge. Because the more time you spend chasing little pleasures, the less time you spend doing the things that matter. The less time you spend growing, building, connecting, and reflecting. And the people designing these systems, they know it. They count on it. Let's bring it back to Aldous Huxley. In Brave New World, people weren't enslaved by pain or fear. They were enslaved by pleasure. Their desires were constantly fulfilled, and so they stopped caring about truth, freedom, or purpose. They didn't resist because there was nothing to resist for. Sound familiar? We might not be taking soma, but are we really that different when we lose hours every day to meaningless consumption? When we're more emotionally invested in our online avatars than our actual relationships? When we're numb to the world around us? That's the real danger. Not that we're being forced into submission, but that we're surrendering voluntarily because it feels good. And it matters. It really, really matters. Because when we spend our lives chasing surface-level pleasure, we miss the chance to go deeper. We sacrifice growth for gratification. We sacrifice potential for comfort.
Cal Newport, in his book Deep Work, explains that our ability to focus, to do meaningful work, it's under attack. Every distraction chips away at our capacity to concentrate, to learn, to create. And once that focus is gone, so is the ability to do anything of real value. Now ask yourself, how much of your time is actually spent doing things that truly matter to you? How often do you settle for quick satisfaction instead of working towards something lasting? This isn't about shame, it's about awareness. Because once you see the pattern, you can start to change it. But let's be honest, breaking free is hard. Because this system, the culture of convenience, the economy of attention, it doesn't just encourage pleasure-seeking, it normalizes it. It glorifies it. Think about the messages we hear every day. You deserve this. Treat yourself. More is better. It's everywhere, in ads, social media, even pop culture. We're constantly being told that happiness is something we can buy, scroll to, or binge watch. Erich Fromm, in his book To Have or to Be, warned us about this. He said modern society has shifted from valuing being to valuing having. We chase possessions, status, and surface appearances, but lose sight of who we are underneath. And when you build your life around what you have instead of who you are, the result is always the same: emptiness.
So, what's the alternative? It's not about rejecting pleasure. It's about redefining it. Pleasure can be good, joyful, necessary even, but it can't be the only thing guiding your life. Instead of chasing what feels good in the moment, what if you focused on what matters in the long run? Martin Seligman, the founder of positive psychology, studied what makes people truly happy. His research found that the most fulfilling lives are built around three things: meaning, engagement, relationships. Yes, pleasure is part of the equation, but it's not the goal, it's a byproduct. Something that comes naturally when you're living with purpose. So here's something to think about. What actually brings you real joy? Not the quick fixes, not the scrolling or the impulse purchases, but the kind of joy that sticks with you, the kind that energizes you rather than drains you. Is it building something? Helping someone? Learning a new skill?
Connecting deeply with someone you love? Now look at your life. Can you identify one area where you've been choosing short-term gratification over long-term growth? One place where you've been avoiding discomfort at the cost of your own potential? Don't judge yourself for it. Just notice it. Because that awareness, that honest look in the mirror, is the first step toward freedom.
Let's get to the heart of it. If the pursuit of pleasure can trap us, how do we break free? It starts with one radical shift, realizing that freedom doesn't mean doing whatever you want. True freedom is the ability to choose what actually matters, even when it's not the easiest option. Friedrich Nietzsche said it best: "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." That's the difference between a life that's reactive, constantly bouncing from one dopamine hit to the next, and a life that's intentional, meaningful, and anchored by purpose. When you know your why, when your life is driven by something deeper than pleasure, the distractions lose their power. Think about the people who've made a real difference in the world. People like Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr. Do you think their lives were easy, comfortable, free from temptation? Of course not. They faced struggle, resistance, even danger. But they were guided by something bigger than themselves, a mission, a cause, a reason to endure the hard stuff. And in doing so, they found a level of fulfillment that no quick pleasure could ever match. So the question becomes, what's your why? Because until you find it, you'll always be vulnerable to the next trend, the next temptation, the next distraction designed to pull you away from yourself.
Because until you find it, you'll always be vulnerable to the next trend, the next temptation, the next distraction designed to pull you away from yourself. Viktor Frankl, again, the author of Man's Search for Meaning, outlined 3 main sources of lasting purpose. Creating something of value, whether that's art, a business, a message, or a life well lived. Experiencing love and connection, the relationships that give our lives richness and depth. Finding growth in suffering, transforming pain into strength, learning from what we go through. These 3 paths aren't easy. They don't offer instant rewards, but they offer something better: depth, integrity, meaning. And that's what we're really after, isn't it? We don't want to just feel good, we want to feel alive. Let's bring all of this into something practical. What can you actually do to start reclaiming your freedom right now, in a world that's constantly trying to steal it? Here are a few powerful steps. 1. Build discipline, one small action at a time. Discipline isn't about being rigid or joyless. It's about creating space for what matters. It's about being in control of your attention, your time, and your life. Start small. Wake up 15 minutes earlier and sit in silence. Turn off non-essential notifications. Schedule time for something meaningful, even just 20 minutes. The point isn't perfection, it's momentum. Each time you choose purpose over pleasure, you build a stronger version of yourself. 2. Embrace discomfort. Growth and comfort do not live in the same neighborhood. Whether it's starting a new skill, facing an old fear, or just saying no to the easy option, choosing discomfort when it leads to growth is a radical act of freedom. It sends a message to your brain: I'm in charge now. 3. Audit your inputs. What you consume shapes how you think, how you feel, and how you act. Ask yourself, what kind of content am I absorbing every day? Who am I following and why? Do the things I scroll through align with who I want to become?
If not, Cut them out. Replace them with things that inspire, challenge, and educate. 4. Reconnect with real people. One of the biggest losses in a pleasure-obsessed culture is deep connection, real conversations, shared silence, vulnerability. Make time for people. Reach out. Go deeper. Relationships are the antidote to loneliness and one of the truest sources of joy. Here's a truth that most people won't tell you. The pursuit of pleasure, when it becomes the goal, turns into a form of slavery. But you don't have to live that way. You can choose meaning. You can choose discipline. You can step off the treadmill and start walking your own path, the hard one, the meaningful one, the real one. It won't be easy. The world will keep pulling you back. Your phone will still buzz. The temptation to scroll, to binge, to check out, it'll still be there. But now you'll recognize it for what it is, a trap. And every time you resist it, every time you choose to be present, to build, to connect, you take back a piece of your freedom. Let's close with this. Aldous Huxley warned us about a future where people would no longer fight for freedom because they'd be too comfortable to care. But that future isn't inevitable because we still have a choice. You still have a choice. So ask yourself, and really sit with this, are you living a life you've chosen, or one that's been chosen for you? The chains are invisible, but they can be broken. The path is steep, but it leads to everything that matters. And the decision? It starts with you. Today. Right now. If this message resonated with you, share it. Start the conversation. Because this isn't just about changing your own life. It's about helping others wake up too. Together, we can build a world where freedom isn't just an idea. It's a way of life. Choose wisely. And thank you for watching.